That's Felicity's little Joey. And there is Felicity. So as soon as I make a movement, the Joeys run away. And fruitcake's having bread on the lawn, on the veranda rather. The swamp wallaby Joeys do their disappearing act so thoroughly that for years I thought they immediately went off on their own once they were weaned. Completely different to the way the grey kangaroos behave. Here's a funny thing. See how I've got no signal from the Optus tower? Oh, all right. How are you going, little Joey? Ooh, run, 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 run. They're good at hiding. There's been some movement at the station, eh? Okay. Where did you go, little one? Very pleasing to see Felicity get a Joey raised to this size. She'd be about 5 years old, and this is the first time she's pulled the parenting off. But as you can see, this fella's probably fast enough and twitchy enough that no fox is going to manage to sneak up on him. He's quivering. Yeah, grooming mummy. Okay, well, to return to the topic of the bugger all reception on my phone. Now, we're showing no reception there. Now this has been going on like this since the week before Christmas. Normally, I can get 2 bars of reception inside the hut with the door closed. It's not quite a strong enough signal that I can upload from inside, so therefore I hang the phone in the pocket in the bag outside on the veranda for uploads. But yeah, normally I've got a strong enough signal from the Hogues Mountain Optus tower that I can YouTube on my mobile phone inside the hut. Outside here, it's normally about 4 or 5 bars. However, I reckon that there's a cut on the plastic sheath on the coaxial cable that leads up the Optus, or up the Hogues Mountain tower to the Optus antenna. And when the rain comes from the northeast, or when there's really, really heavy, strong rain, some water gets in through the cut and it short circuits the woven braided tube that you find between the 2 layers of plastic on a coaxial antenna. And then you have to wait for sunlight to evaporate the water that's inside the outer sheath of the cable. And that takes a while. And until about 3 or 4 days ago, my only way of getting internet out here, well, I couldn't get internet out here. I had to jump in the car and drive into town and use the reception from the Glen Innes Tower when you get to the golf club turn-off, and then 2.5 hours later, when the phone battery's flat, come back home. So I didn't quite disappear from YouTube, but I became a bit sketchy. Then maybe a week ago, I found that between 9 o'clock and midday, if the sun was up and it was shining, I was getting enough reception here sitting on the veranda that I could occasionally watch a video, and occasionally I could get through onto the comment thread and I could reply to a notification. But I was still having to go to town to reliably watch a movie or to deal with notifications and make comments or answer comments. And then I noticed a very funny thing, you see, because although if I was sitting in the chair, quite often I could only get half a bar of service. If I put the phone on top of that Vaccola preserving jar boiling tin beside the seat, occasionally it would get 1.5 bars of service, anomalously. And then I noticed something even stranger, i.e. that if I put the phone down on top of the tin and I put the tin in front of the seat, sort of in a manner like this, and put it down there, we've got 1 bar of service. Now we've got 2 bars of service. There we go. 2 bars of service. Two bars of service. No, I don't want a new version of YouTube. This phone's already completely full. 2 bars of service. And I can click on and I can look at my notifications. Right? It all works fine. So, pick the phone up. Still got 2 bars of service. Okay, now wait a second. And we're down to no bars of service. So I'm only getting reception when I'm over here. Still got no reception. Oh, bingo, we're back. What appears to be going on is that this wall of the hut is acting as a reflector. If you look at it closely, you'll see that it's got vertical micro-corrugations as well as big folds. And I think, just at a guess, that the signal's coming in from Hogues Mountain Tower over there. It's bouncing off all those vertical surfaces on the wall behind me, being reflected down onto this surface here, which bounces it back up at the phone, and being collected by this vertical rim. And that is focusing the signal again back onto the phone, and that's all happening at the speed of light, because that's how far radio travels. Therefore, thus and because, as long as I'm prepared to sit out here on the veranda, I can actually work my YouTube channel without needing to drive 10 or 15 kilometres into town. And it only took me 2.5 weeks to notice the coincidence that I can amass a radio collector and reflector simply from the front of my hut. And the micro-corrugated grooves and the macro-corrugated folds of the steel wall behind my chair onto the phone at the focus of the circular lip of the Vaccola jar preserving tin. It's not what you got, it's knowing how to use it. Apparently. So they say. Warbles on a lot to YouTube. Swamp wallabies, Optus signals, and impromptu radar reflectors. Who'd have thunk it? Ciao.